So good morning. The first thing I'd like you to do is if you've got socks on, please take your socks off. And then you're going to see how wide you can spread your toes, and then take one of your hands and web it all the way through your toes until it feels like, I don't know, you're a monkey or something grabbing a banana. And then once you've got that going on, you're going to create little circles with your foot. So you can move the foot right or left. You can create some semicircles or a whole circle, but you're really seeing how far you can dig your fingers or the webbing of your fingers into your foot, and you're using the opposite hand to just move things around. And after we've done that with same hand, we'll go ahead and switch. So now opposite hand will web itself all the way through your toes. And you'll notice this is probably a little bit easier to grab, and then see if you can make some giant ankle circles here. So we're working on this notion of really being present. I noticed this morning that when I woke up, I had this strange dream, or I was in the middle of this dream, and I was like, oh my God, I'm on the verge of understanding everything. And then my alarm clock went off, and I was like, oh crap, I missed out on knowing everything. Okay, and then slide your hands down to the sole of your foot and just give it a little bit of a rub, seeing where your foot feels tight on the medial side. So that's the inside closer to your big toe, or the lateral side, the part closest to your pinky toe. And you're just saying, hello, foot. And you're just giving it a little bit of pressure. And then you'll finally make your way down to your heel, and the opposite thumb goes into the crook of the heel. And the first thing you can do is just sort of, it feels like you're yanking your heel off, and it opens up some of the arches of your feet. So those of you that have been doing a lot of skiing, probably a good thing to be doing every now and again. And then you can go up and down. So it's like you're trying to shake the heel off of the rest of the foot. And then once you're done with that, just plant the feet right on the floor and see if you notice anything in the difference in terms of color of blood flow, how the feet feel against the floor, any of that. Cool. And then we'll try it on the other side. So flare all of your toes with the palm of your hand on the top of your foot. Bring your finger webbing all the way to your toe webbing. And then again, you can use the opposite hand to manipulate the foot, maybe creating some circles, maybe just wringing it out like a rag. Awesome. And then from there, opposite hand interweaves between the toes. And then you can create some ankle circles here, and you'll notice that you can squeeze the toes around the fingers, or you can push the fingers out into the toes, and that creates a very different sensation. Okay, once we've done that, we'll then go ahead and stroke the soles of our feet. So maybe going along the medial edge from arch or bottom of arch to the big toe, or the lateral arch from the heel towards the pinky toe, or maybe in the middle. Noticing what your feet feel like now. And then again, opposite thumb to the inside edge of your heel. And this is a marma point in Chinese medicine. So you can just push down there, and that sometimes feels really good and awful at the same time. Or you can just go up and down with the heel like you're trying to wiggle it loose, or right to left, and just notice what that feels like. And then we'll go ahead and release that. See if the feet feel and look a little bit more similar. Awesome stuff. And from here, make your way onto hands and knees, and we'll just go directly into an navicular stretch. And so we're going to take this just very briefly, coming onto your hands and your knees. And we've done this quite a few times, so we know what this is, and you'll just take it at your own pace, feeling into the sole of the foot, and just observing and noticing how it feels for you as you go from one foot to the other. Okay, go ahead and come forward and switch sides. And throughout all of this, notice where the breath is. We spend a lot of time I spend a lot of time constantly striving to be somewhere other than I am, but what if I could just be in the experience? Okay, once you're balanced between both sides, walk your knees together, walk your ankles together, and tuck both sets of toes under. Then press your pelvis back towards your heels, and you'll start to bring your spine up to vertical. Grab your strap on root. From here, go ahead and unwind that strap all the way. And then if you have a belt buckle, you'll just hold that in one hand and you'll open the strap out so it's about V shape. Cool, we're just gonna take about 5 of these. So you'll inhale, reach the strap up and overhead, and then exhale, draw it back behind you. And then inhale, come back up. And exhale, come down. And you've got 4 more of these on your own, and you're just noticing if you can allow both arms to pass overhead at the same rate. If you can continue to pull wide on the strap, even as you come down. And just notice that at this point in time, I'm sure your feet have started talking to you and they said, please get me out of this shape. And we've just got 2 more sets to go. If it becomes too much, you just stand up on your shins, or you can continue to sit on your heels. Okay, last one. This time we'll come up and overhead, and then just take a moment to pull wide into the strap, and then exhale, draw the strap down, come forward, release your feet, happy little temper tantrum, tops of the feet pitter patter into the floor if that feels good to you. Or conversely, you'll shift your weight back and lift one or both knees up and away from the floor, depending upon how your knees and ankles feel. And again, because we've worked on the feet a little bit more, you might notice a different set of sensation on the tops of the feet as you do this today. Great. From here, let's make sure both of our blocks are just towards the top outer part of our space. You might feel the need to pad your knees with the blanket, or you might not. But then you'll make your way to hands and knees, standard tabletop position. And the first thing you'll do is just take a moment to make sure your shoulders are directly over your wrists. Make sure the knees are underneath the hips. And then inhale, lower the belly, lift the head, lift the tail. And exhale, press through the floor, round through the spine. So you've got 4 more of these on your own. It turns out that cat-cow, as simple as they may be, are like one of the best things that you can do for your spine. It allows you to not only strengthen certain muscles, but also stretch certain muscles. And it helps connect with the parasympathetic nervous system. So after your next exhalation, you've got 4 breath cycles doing whatever feels better to you. So you might take some twists, you might take some barrel rolls with the pelvis or the ribs or the head. You might take some little sideways stuff, but really allow yourself to just check in and breathe. How often do you allow yourself to just be in the exploratory phase, what feels good in your body? Or how often are you seeking to be somewhere else, to attain or achieve some ideal of perfection? And you've got another 4 breath cycles, so by all means, please reverse whatever you might have been doing. If that was a twist, perhaps you go the other way. If you were in stillness, maybe you try some movement, and maybe if you were in movement, you try some stillness, but allow yourself to just continue to explore. And then very gently, we'll make our way to a neutral tabletop position. Make sure your hands are underneath your shoulders, spread wide through your fingers. Yep. And then let's start to push down and forward through the index fingers and the knuckles. Lift up slightly through the heels of the hands and tuck both sets of toes under. Inhale, gaze forward. And then exhale, start to press your bum up and back. Keep your knees bent for this first one as you go towards downward facing dog. And again, keep lifting up through the inner armpits. Wrap your triceps to the floor and then push the floor away to lift your hips a little higher. Yeah. Take a big breath in here. And as you exhale, just straighten your left leg, maybe reaching the heel back behind you, maybe towards the floor. And notice what's happening in that outer left hip, left calf, left leg. And then inhale, bend both knees and switch sides, lowering just the right heel to the floor. And again, you might notice that you maybe peek underneath that right armpit, maybe not, but you're just breathing. And then you've got 4 more breath cycles on your own. So you might continue to pedal through the feet. You might come to a place of stillness, or you might not. You're just noticing what you notice. Nice work. Go ahead and find yourself to a still neutral spot. Press the hands down and forward and lift up through your inner armpits. Wrap the triceps back towards your thighs, and then see if you can send your inner thighs back. Great. Now inhale, chin to chest, tailbone rolls you forward into plank pose. Awesome sauce. Pause here, shoulders over wrists. Push down into your hands until your upper back puffs up just a bit. Yep. Then wrap the shoulders away from your ears. Lift your hips a little higher. And then tuck your tailbone back or lengthen it back to draw the pubic bone up towards the belly button. Take 3 breath cycles in here, reaching the sternum forward just a bit more and lifting up through the back of your skull. Yep. Take a big breath in. And then exhale, bend your knees and lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Great. Take 2 more breath cycles here and just notice what you notice. How is the body engaged? How are you able to just stay with the breath? Inhale, gaze to your hands, and exhale, walk your feet to your hands. Now, once you get to the top of your space, you might plant your hands on your blocks or you might not. It really depends upon how much mobility you've got going on in your hamstrings at this moment. Let's go ahead and bend just your left knee. Take your left hand to your outer right ankle. Right hand might come to that block, and then you might start to walk the right hand in front of you to peer underneath your right armpit. Continue to bend deeply through your left knee, and then you can pull with that left hand as you twist the upper spine a little bit more to the right, peering underneath your armpit. And say hello, outer right hip. Nice work. On your next exhalation, gently release and come back through center. And then we'll go ahead and try that on the other side. So bend just your right knee, draw the right hand to the outer left ankle. Left hand might come to that block, and then you'll walk that block in front of you. And then the more you bend the right knee, you can pull with the right hand and wrap the right shoulder underneath to peer underneath the left shoulder. And just breathe on the whole outer left part of your leg, saying hello, outer leg. Awesome sauce. On your next exhale, you'll come back to center. Please make sure one of those blocks is easily accessible to you, and then you'll slide it between your inner shin bones. And you can put it on its first or its second setting, depending upon how wide your pelvis is. And then grab opposite elbow and just hang for a moment and breathe. And again, just noticing what you notice. Maybe gentle movement feels nice, maybe complete stillness feels nice, but you're allowing yourself to be in the entirety of your experience without it needing to be changed in order to have it look a particular way. Great. Okay. Gently release your hands to the floor. Inhale, slide your hands up your shin bones and reach your spine parallel to the floor. pause here. Push your shins forward into your hands. Lightly push your hands back into your shins. Squeeze that block a lot. And then notice if you can draw your shoulders away from your ears. Yep, and onto your back. Slightly tuck your chin into your neck. Yep, but reach your sternum forward as your pubic bone reaches back. Nice work. Keep that. Draw your right hand to your right hip. Draw your left hand to your left hip. With your thumbs, reach your pelvis back and your crown forward a little bit more and draw the elbows towards each other on your back body. Nice. Inhale, bend your knees slide forward, head comes up. Yep, knees forward, head comes up. There we go. Awesome. Pause here, squeeze your block. Squeeze your outer glutes so the knees track over the center of your hips or over your knees, yep. And then lift your sternum up. From here, you can bring your hands behind your low back and interlace your fingers if you'd like. And if you do that, keep hugging elbows towards each other, keep squeezing your block and sitting as low as you want. Option number 2 is to reach your arms alongside your ears and sit for Utkatasana in either variation. And we've just got 3 more breath cycles here. Keep pressing into the big toes, keep hugging your block, and keep squeezing your glutes. For this last breath cycle, see if you can sit a little lower and lift up through the sternum. Yep. And on your next in-breath, reach up through the hands, reach up through the arms, straighten the legs, look up, reach up. And exhale, open the arms out and alongside your hips. Okay, last thing before we get into our standing poses. Bring a slight bend to your knees so it feels like there's a little squish happening behind the knees. Lengthen the tailbone down and root the pelvis down. Draw the pubic bone to your belly button. And then inhale, reach your right arm up and overhead. Exhale, bend the right elbow and grab the right elbow with your left hand. Now, this is a Pita Gosku thing. So keeping that slight bend in the knees, you squeeze your block, you lengthen your tailbone down and draw the pubic bone up. Draw your front ribs back. Yep. And then continue to push that right elbow to the right as you pull it into the left and say hello to your latissimus dorsi. We're just going to take a moment to breathe here. All the computer stuff we've been doing lately probably has this muscle really tight. So front ribs keep drawing back as you push. There you go, Barbara. As you push out into that right elbow and pull in with the left hand. Nice. Next in breath, reach up through your left arm. Reach up through your right and exhale, open the arms out to the side. Take a moment to just notice if one side feels different than the other. And then we'll go ahead and try that on the other side. Inhale, sweep that left arm up and overhead. And exhale, bend that elbow, grab the left elbow with the right hand. And again, keep the feet pushing down, hug into your block. Little squish in the knees as tailbone lengthens down. Pubic bone draws up, front ribs draw back, and then press into that left elbow as you pull with the right hand. And the more you can really engage the front body into the back body, so the knitting of the ribs back, it really allows you to get access to that latissimus on the left side. Awesome sauce. Next in breath, reach up through your right arm, reach up through the left, and exhale, open both arms out to the side. Awesome sauce. Okay, let's move on. Go ahead and remove that block from between your shin bones. Bring a block to the top of your space and the back of your space on the back of your mat. So wherever you're looking for. Great. And then turn to face the long edge of your mat so your blocks are behind you. Separate your feet about 3 feet apart. Great. From here, bring your hands to your hips and then step your left foot forward about 2 inches. Yep. Turn your left toes to the right. Turn your right toes to the right. And then from here, open both arms out to the side. Turn the palms to face up. And the first thing that you're going to do is imagine that you're a giant starfish. Reach out into all of your limbs. So the feet push down into the floor, the fingers reach out and front and back at the same time. The head lengthens up, the tailbone lengthens down. And on your next in-breath, see if you can find a little bit more length, and then exhale, find some muscular engagement around your legs. Now, inhale, reach forward and out through your right hand, tick-tocking at your hips to draw the right hand to the floor or that block on the inside edge of your foot. Pause. Draw your left hand to your left hip. First things first, push your right big toe mound forward and down, and then draw your outer right hip back behind you. Now push your, yep, there you go, Roberta, left hip down into the left pinky toe of the floor. Great. Now reach your left arm up and overhead, and you might reach your left arm alongside your ears. So the right hip is drawing back. It feels like the left hip is drawing forward, and then you can tuck your tailbone into your inner left thigh. From here, you might push down in that right hand and wrap the right rib cage under to stack the left rib cage on top and say hello to your QL. Maybe you're also breathing in your lats, but you're breathing really deeply into that side body and perhaps the back or inner edge of that front leg. Awesome sauce. Bring your left hand back to your left hip. Bend your right knee. Go ahead and look down, and I highly encourage you to put your hand on a block if you haven't at this point, and then bring the hand outside of your right foot. Start to wiggle walk your back foot towards your front foot. Then you'll shift your weight forward, planting the right hand and block a little bit forward, about a couple feet, maybe 1 foot. Yep, lift that back leg parallel to the floor. Flex through that left foot. Maybe stack that left hip exactly on top of the right. Now, as we're here, you keep drawing that outer right hip down, push into that right foot, push into that right hand, and wrap the right rib cage under to stack the left rib cage on top. Nice work. You might float your left hand up, keeping the left leg parallel to the floor. Nice work. Go ahead and look down at the floor, bend your right knee, and step back to triangle pose. Take the block with you. Nice work, guys. Then inhale, bend the front knee and come up for warrior 2. Awesome sauce. And then straighten the front leg. Remove that block if you need to and turn both feet so they're parallel to the short edges of your mat. Awesome sauce. This time, step your right foot forward about 2 or 3 inches. Turn the right toes to the left. Turn the left toes to the left. Extend out through both arms, both legs, tail and crown like little starfish. And then on your next in-breath, reach forward through that left hand, bringing the left hand to the inside edge of the left foot. And it might be on the block, it might be on the floor, it might be on the shin. Well, wherever you are, draw your outer left hip back a bit. Keep pushing down and forward into your left big toe as you do that. And then bring your right hand to your right hip for a moment. Just pause. Push the right pinky toe down. And it feels like somewhat that the right hip will come forward towards the left side of the mat. Great. Now from here, reach back through the right hand, turn the palm to face up, and extend the arm alongside your ears. Now, once you've got all that going on, keep pushing into the front big toe. See if you can wrap your left ribs under, your right ribs up, yep, and keep pushing the back foot back, the front foot forward, and breathe. Nice work. Draw your right hand back to your right hip. Bend your left knee. Hand on block and bring it to the outside edge of your left foot. Then start to wiggle walk your back foot forward. Step your left hand forward until you can shift the weight onto that left leg and float the right leg up. Flex through your back foot. Yep. Lift the inner left thigh or inner right thigh a little bit more. Yep, there you go, Barbara. And then wrap the left ribs under, right ribs on top, and maybe the gaze can start to come towards the wall opposite you, and maybe the right hand can come up to the sky. Sandy, lift the inner right thigh just a little bit more. There you go. On your next exhalation, go ahead and look down at the floor, bend the supporting leg, and step back to triangle pose. Nice work. Take a moment to pause here, and then inhale, return to warrior two. Pause, notice what you notice. And then exhale, straighten that front leg. Turn the toes in so both legs are parallel. And then you'll pause here. Bring your hands to your low back, interlacing the fingers at the webbing. Draw the shoulders up towards your ears and draw the shoulder blades onto your back. Now push out through your feet, lift up through your sternum. And as you exhale, come forward just halfway, just halfway. Pause, keep hugging shoulder blades onto your back, sternum reaches forward. If this is suitable, you stay right here. Otherwise, keep reaching your sternum forward until it comes towards the floor. And then continue to draw the tops of your shin bones forward, the bottoms of your thigh bones back, and press into the outer edges of your feet. Nice work, guys. Next inhalation, engage the core to come up halfway. The spine is parallel to the floor. Bend the knees a little bit if you need to. Yep, and then come all the way up to vertical. Awesome stuff. Gently release the hands and take a few shoulder circles here and just notice what that feels like. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and add on. So I would encourage the same thing, but we'll see how you feel. Bring your hands to your hips. Step your left foot forward about 2 inches. Okay. Now from here, turn your left toes to the right. Turn your right toes to the right. Pause. Push your pelvis down into your legs. So your hands are literally pushing down. Now scoop the low belly in and up. And then from here, draw the shoulder blades onto your back body, chest stays proud. Extend the arms out to the right and to the left like wings of a bird, and then flip your palms to face up. Now from here, push down through the feet in order to reach the arms up and overhead. And then start to revolve your chest towards the right. Yeah. Now from here, keep pushing down and the knife edge of your back foot, start to bend your front knee. Great. See if you can keep drawing your right hip back as you push down into your left foot. Hug both of those points together and say hello to the top of your psoas on that back leg. You might draw your palms to touch, you might not, but you'll reach up through the hands, lifting the rib cage off of the hips. Option to stay right here. Otherwise, let's hinge forward at your hips, making a diagonal from your back foot through your hips, through your shoulders, through your elbows, through your fingers. Awesome sauce. From here, you'll start to shift your weight forward, transferring the weight into the right leg, lifting the left heel, coming into warrior three, happy days. Square your hips, engage that inner left thigh, and reach out through your hands as much as you kick back through that foot to find stability. Nice work, guys. When you're ready, you'll bend the right knee and carefully step back to warrior one. Nice transition. Straighten that front leg. And then turn the right toes to the left. Awesome sauce. Keep the arms reaching up and overhead, and this time you'll just step your left foot back a few inches. Yep, turn your right toes to the left toes to the left. Keep reaching up through the arms. So we typically don't have our arms up and overhead like this, so this is very taxing. Now start to rotate your rib cage towards the left. And then start to bend the left knee as you keep pushing down through the pinky toe edge of that back foot. So as we enter warrior one on this side, push out through the feet and hug the feet together. We took a slightly wider stance, so hopefully that makes less adjustments here. But if you need to adjust that left foot more to the left, by all means, go ahead and do that. And if you need to turn the right toes in more, by all means, do that too. Now, option to stay right here in warrior one. Otherwise, you'll start to hinge forward at your hips, making a diagonal from the back heel through the hips, through the shoulders, through the elbows and the wrists. Awesome sauce. You can stay right here. Otherwise, keep shifting your weight forward, lifting that back heel, reaching out through the arms. And ironically enough, the more you reach out through the arms, the easier that transition becomes. Then hug that outer left hip back, reach back through the right foot. Aha, nice job. And take in a deep breath. On your next exhale, mindfully step back to warrior one and pause. Go ahead and straighten the front leg. Turn the left toes to the right, lower the arms out to the side, and make sure your feet are parallel towards one another. And then just take a moment to pause. This is one of those things in ballet that we learn very quickly. We spend a lot of time keeping our arms up and overhead, and it's really tiring when you actually do that consistently. But it also builds strength, and for a lot of us, if we're always rounded, having our arms up and overhead might be a good thing. Cool. Let's go ahead and add on. Bring your hands to your hips. Make sure your feet are parallel towards the short edges of your mat. And then draw the shoulder blades onto your back. Lift your heart and sternum up. Next, exhale. Start to hinge forward at your hip for Prasarita Padottanasana Variation C. So with your hands on your hips, you'll maybe bring the head all the way down to the floor, maybe just hang out halfway. From there, you'll slowly release your hands to the floor and pause. Keep your feet parallel and then just bend your right knee. As you bend your right knee, press into the pinky toe edge of your left foot, and you might notice that there's stuff happening on your outer right hip or your inner left thigh, and just breathe and notice. And then go ahead and come back through center, and then switch sides, bending the opposite knee, pressing the right pinky toe down, and seeing if you can keep that left knee opening over the center of your left foot. Yep. Awesome stuff. Go ahead and come back through center. Now with your hands underneath your shoulders, swing your heels in and your toes out. Bend your knees and pop a squat. Bring your hands to the tops of your thighs and sit for horse stance, goddess stance, straightening those arms as best as you can. So with our arms straight, you can then stay here if you'd like, or you might take a little twist to the right or a little twist to the left. And you're just noticing what it feels like now to open up the inner hips, the inner thighs. Especially my skiers, those that mentioned the inner groin, you might notice that this might feel better or worse on one side, and so just be mindful. And then once you're balanced between the sides, go ahead and come to stillness. See if you can push out through both of your feet and yet hug your heels into each other, and that engages the glutes. And then draw your hands to heart center. So inner feet are going out, outer heels are drawing in, hands come to heart center, and we're sitting in horse stance. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and straighten the legs, stand up tall. Cool. Hands come to your hips and turn your toes so they're parallel to the short edges of your mat. And once again, please make sure your blocks are at the top and the back of your space. Okay. Now let's go ahead and step your left foot forward about 2 inches. Turn the left toes to the right toes to the right. Cool. Now from here, draw the shoulders onto the back body, heart and sternum lift, and then open your arms out right and left. Turn your palms to face up, and then like a starfish, push out through both of your legs, reach out through both of your arms, and reach up through head as you descend through your tail. And then as you exhale, you'll sort of take this wrapping windmill action to the right. So that left hand will come to the inside edge of your right foot. So all the way to the floor. Yeah, buddy. And you might bring that left hand onto a block, or it might be on the floor. It's really about how much your hamstrings want to rotate to the right. Cool. Now everyone, bend your right elbow and bring your right hand to your right hip. Pause. Let's modify this a little bit. So draw your right hip back, really pull it back. There you go. With your right hand, push down into your right big toe mound until there's a little bit of a squish in the back of your right knee. Keep pulling back with your right hip. Now push down into that left hand, push down into that left foot, and see if you can wrap your left rib cage under, your right rib cage on top, maybe stacking the right shoulder a little bit more on top. Great. Now you might extend that right arm up for a revolved triangle, or you might not, but you've just got 2 more breath cycles here. Wrapping the left ribs under, wrapping the right ribs on top, drawing that outer right hip straight back. Nice work. Draw your right hand back to your right hip. Bend your front knee. Step your left block forward and slightly to the left and start to shift your weight forward to lift your left leg up and away from the floor. Keep that right hand on the right hip. Nice work. Now, once you feel like you found your spot, keep pulling that outer right hip back with the right hand. Lift up through that inner left thigh and kick back through that left foot. Push down into the left hand and then start to wrap your left ribs under, your right ribs on top. And maybe you can reach the right arm up towards the sky for revolved half moon. And it's been a while since we've done all this, so awesome job, guys. When you're ready, right hand comes back to right hip. Bend your right knee, step yourself back to that prep pose for revolved triangle. Yep. And then go ahead and windmill your left arm up and come all the way back to vertical. Turn both feet so they're parallel to the short edges of your mat and just pause. Awesome. We'll get to try all that on the other side. So step your right foot forward a few inches. Turn your right toes to the left. Turn your left toes to the left. And then you want to reach out through both of the hands, reach out through both of the legs, reach out through the crown and down through the tail. And then you'll start reaching so much through that left hand that you wrap your spine to the left and draw the right hand to the inside edge of the left foot on a block or on the floor. It's totally up to you, but it's happening because it's a revolution. Great. Draw your left hand to your left hip. Let's modify the pose a little bit more. So make sure that your back toes are pointing towards the upper corner of your mat. So that might mean you spin the heel out a little bit more and the toes in. Yep. Then from here, you can push down into your front big toe, your left big toe a lot, and pull your left hip back with your left hand. Yeah. Now from there, push out through both of the legs, reach out through the skull, push down through the bottom hand, and see if you can wrap your right ribs under, your left ribs on top. Great. And you might stay there and extend up through the top arm, or you might not, but you'll just take a moment to pause and breathe. Pushing that back right foot into the floor as you wrap the outer left hip back. Yeah. Draw your left hand to your left hip. Turn your gaze to the floor. Bend your front knee and travel the right hand forward a few inches and to the right, or maybe about a foot or so, and lift that right leg up and away from the floor. Nice. Now, with that left hand still on the left hip, you can actively steer the outer left hip back, lift up through that inner right thigh, and then push down into the right hand to wrap the right rib cage under and maybe float the top arm to the sky. Nice work, guys. Notice the breath. And when you're ready, top hand comes to top hip, mindfully step lifted leg back and come into that prep for revolved triangle. Yep. And then you'll reach your right hand forward to windmill all the way up to vertical. Turn both feet so they're parallel to the short edges of your mat, and then bring your hands to your hips. Pause here for a moment. Really use the hands to push down into the pelvis, push down into the legs, push down into the feet. Draw the shoulders onto the back, and then lift the heart up. Once again, Prasarita Padottanasana. So you'll exhale and start to hinge forward at the hips. And there are options here. You might slide your hands down the thighs to grab the outer edges of your feet. You might release the hands directly underneath the shoulders, or you might walk the hands forward. And just take a moment to pause here and breathe here and notice what you notice. It's very interesting that this is the only thing that we ever have, and yet we spend a lot of time, or I spend a lot of time chasing other things. So what happens if I just give myself the opportunity to be fully invested in whatever it is that I'm doing? Okay, we'll gently come out of this. So walk your hands underneath your shoulders, lift your spine halfway, and then bring a slight bend into the backs of your knees. Sternum reaches forward, pelvis reaches back. Draw your hands to your hips. Draw the shoulder blades onto your back, and then inhale, come all the way up to vertical. And then if you feel dizzy at all, lower your chin a bit, lift the sternum a bit, and pause and breathe. And then release your hands, and you can step or hop your feet together. Nice. Cool. So we're still going to face the side of our mat, but bring both of your blocks so that they are on the lowest setting outside of you. So both of blocks or books and blocks or whatever we're using as block substitutes today, so they frame your feet. Okay, so we won't need that right now, but we will need it for the subsequent shape. Cool, and then we'll just stand as tall as we can, and then push down into your right foot to float your left leg up. Hands can be at heart center, hands can be on hips, they can be wherever you want, but you're going to open your left leg out to the left, and then bring the left foot either to the inside edge of the right thigh, the right calf, or the right ankle. And then with hands either on hips or at heart center, push the right leg into the left foot into the right leg. See if you can squeeze your outer hips in towards each other, and then lift the rib cage up and away from the pelvis. Nice. Okay, come back through center, release the left leg, and put the left leg down. And we'll do all that on the other side. So transfer all the weight to the left leg. The right leg floats up like magic. And then externally rotate the right leg. So squeeze the right butt cheek to open the right leg to the right, and then bring the right foot to the inside edge of the left leg, the left calf, or the left ankle. And then again, you'll push the left leg into the right foot into the left leg, hug those outer hips in. See if you can lift your sternum up as you descend the tail down, and then keep hugging your outer hips in. Awesome stuff. Gently release the right leg and come back to center. Okay, adding on. Transfer the weight back to the right leg, and you'll just cross your left leg over and kickstand it on the block or touch to the right. Then from there, bend both of your knees and open your arms out to the right and to the left. Wrap your right arm underneath you and give you a happy hug. And then maybe you draw the backs of the palms to touch or the fronts of the palms to touch, and lift the elbows high. Now you might choose to stay here or lift that left leg up and maybe tuck the left toes at the back of your right calf and sit for Garudasana. Continue to lift the elbows as you descend the pelvis and draw those front ribs in and back as you breathe. Nice work. Next in breath, gently unwind and plant the left foot next to the right foot. Cool. Then we'll go ahead and try all that on the other side. Shift the weight to the left leg, kickstand the right leg over to the left, and then start to bend into both of your knees. Open your arms out to the right and to the left, and then give yourself a hug with the left arm underneath and the right arm on top. You might stay here. You might draw backs of palms to touch, or you might draw palms to touch, but you'll bend a little bit more through your supporting leg. And you might stay there or draw the back of the right foot onto the back of or top of the right foot onto the back of the left calf and just notice what you notice. Can you lift the elbows as you descend the pelvis? Yep. And then draw the front ribs in and back. Nice work. Next in breath, gently unwind. Cool. All right, so if you have a wall or a chair and you feel like balance is a thing, you might want to touch one of those at this point. You might also want to stand on a wooden floor or not your sticky mat for this next part because it'll just probably be easier, but that's totally up to you. Okay, so we're going to shift all of our weight over to our right leg and float our left leg up. And for this one, hands might come to the front of your left shin and you might hug it in really, really tight. You might draw that right hand to your right hip, or you might draw your left hand to grab the outside edge of your left foot. Cool. Now from there, we've got options. Let's push down into that right foot a lot as we reach up through the crown of our head. Draw the shoulder blades back onto your back body. And if you're holding on to that left foot, you might reach the left foot forward and the knee might stay bent. You might reach that leg all the way straight. But wherever you are, you're drawing both shoulder blades onto the back body. You're lifting up through your heart and you're saying hello, standing poses that we haven't done since pre-COVID. And then you might open that left leg out to the left, reaching out through the heel, pulling back through the big toe mound and the pinky toe mound and saying hello, knee can be bent, leg can be straight. It's totally okay either way. Awesome sauce. Come back through center and then gently release that left leg. You might shake out your hands and your legs. That's crazy. We have not done that in literally almost a year. Hooray! And then we're going to try that all on the other side. So go ahead and shift your weight over to the left leg. Let the right leg float up. And you might bring the hands to the front of that right shin bone. And again, this is an option. You can stay right here and still open the leg. It all works out. You might then bring the left hand to the left hip or the right hand to the outside edge of the right foot. From there, push down into your left leg and reach up through your head like you're a giant lightning beam or something. And then maybe the right leg stays bent. Maybe you reach the right leg in front of you. But even if it does go in front of you, it doesn't have to be straight, but we're going to keep the shoulders on the back, the heart lifting up. And then perhaps you open the right leg towards the right, pushing down through the left leg, hugging both outer hips in. Awesome sauce. And then go ahead and come back through center. Gently release the leg and draw it down. Take a little shaky poo. And then we're going to pop a squat. Cool. So let's go ahead and sit all the way down. Make sure your strap is somewhere nearby. Oh, that's a pretty painting, Julie. I like that. Okay, so we have options for this. You can either take Sukhasana, not Sukhasana, Sukhasana or Gomukhasana legs, but we'll put our right shin bone down first. And you might, if you're going to take Gomukhasana legs, you'll draw the right heel outside of your left hip, and then you'll stack your left knee on top. Conversely, you just cross at the shin bone. So you choose whichever option works better for you. And then you're going to fold forward at your hips. So we're just targeting our outer hips. So either knees stacked on top of each other or ankles right underneath knees, but we're going to find those outer hips and just hinge forward at our hips and breathe and say hello, outer hips. And again, this is another shape that I feel like we have not done in quite a while. So if the body is feeling tight, that's okay. We just pause and we breathe. Notice what we notice. And you've got 2 more breath cycles here. And then you'll slowly bring your spine back up to vertical. And you'll switch to the opposite side. So if you're doing Gomukhasana, the left heel might come outside of the right hip, right knee stacking over the left knee, or simply just crossing the shin bones. And then we'll hinge forward at the hip so we feel stuff happening on our outer hip. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what you notice here. Allowing stuff that no longer needs to be held on to soften and to release. And to allow our awareness to become more aware of things that might have been there all along, but we just haven't noticed them. We've got 2 more breath cycles here. And then you'll bring your spine back up to vertical. Uncross your legs and grab your strap. So we're now going to take the tail of our strap and you're going to thread it through both of your loops. And then you'll go over the first and under the second. And you're going to make a loop that's about as wide as your hip. Cool. And then once you've got that, go ahead and lie down on your back. Bend both of your knees and plant your feet firmly on the floor. Now make sure your feet are about hip distance apart and just notice what's happening in the back of your pelvis now, noticing what's happening in the back of your legs now. And then draw your right knee to your chest and put the strap across the ball of your right foot. Now you can hold on the inside of that loop if you'd like or not, it's totally up to you, but you're going to kick your right foot up towards the sky, finding about a perpendicular leg. Push up through the big toe mound, pull down through the 4th and 5th toes, and then find a light squish in the backs of your knees. So even though you're keeping that leg long, we want to make sure we don't hyperextend. And then really root the right thigh down into the right half of the pelvis. Then you might extend your left leg long beneath you and flex through the left foot as much as you're flexing through the right foot, drawing the back of the left calf, the left thigh, the heel towards the floor, and then drawing that outer right hip a little bit away from your right shoulder. There you go. Now, from here, start to crawl your right hand up the strap towards your foot just a bit more. Bring your left hand to the top of your left thigh if the leg is straight. Turn your right heel in just a bit. And then start to open the right leg to the right. Now, if your left knee is still bent, you can let the left knee open towards the left to just let the pelvis do what the pelvis does. But you're noticing that this is very much like the triangle pose and the standing pose that we did. So that right leg is probably not going to get to the floor, and that's okay. Keep the left pelvis rooted. Keep drawing the abdomen in on the right and towards the left and push out through that right heel. Nice work. Next in breath, we'll come back to center with the right foot reaching up and both knees pointing up towards the sky. And then just take a moment to pause here. Gently release the right foot from the strap. And then release the right foot next to the left and take a moment to pause and notice what you notice here. How does the right half of the pelvis feel in comparison to the left? Okay, Adding on, bend both knees if they're not. Draw the left knee into your chest and put the strap across the ball of your left foot. Then send the left foot up towards the sky. And you'll just pause here, finding first a perpendicular 90-degree angle with that left leg. Press up through the big toe mound and the inner edge of the left leg, left thigh. Draw down through the fourth and fifth toes. And then see if you can wrap that outer left hip into your inner right thigh. Yep. From there, you might extend the right leg long beneath you and flex through the right foot as much as you're flexing through the left. And then keep wrapping the inner right side of the floor if the right leg is long, pulling all 10 toes towards your knees. Yep. And then from here, start to walk the left hand up the strap towards the foot a little bit more. Draw the right hand to the top of the right thigh. And then turn the left heel in, left toes out. And start to open the left leg to the left. Let the right knee open to the right if the knee is bent. And you're just pausing, keeping the pelvis rooted, finding that stretch across the inside edge. Yeah, that looks good, Pam. Inside edge of that left leg. Nice. Next in-breath, go ahead and come back to center. Gently release the strap and plant both feet on the floor. And you'll just take a moment to pause. See if things feel a little bit more balanced and even now. Awesome sauce. If the legs are straight, go ahead and bend the knees. Plant the feet on the floor. And then put your legs through the hole of your strap. And bring that strap to the belly of your thigh, so it's in the middle point between your knees and your hips. And then you might need to retighten it a bit so that once you press out into the strap, it really keeps the thigh bones hip distance apart for you. Once you've got that sorted, plant your feet on the floor. And then walk your feet so they're hip distance apart for you and pretty close to your bum. Now, notice this is really dependent upon how your knees are feeling. Some of you might need to turn your toes in a little bit and your heels out a little bit. And some of you will do the exact opposite. So you'll have to adjust this for your body. But you'll start to push out into your strap. You'll push down into your big toes and then start to lift your hips high. Once your hips are high, walk your shoulder blades underneath you, and then you might interlace your hands. Keep the whole sole of your foot pushing into the floor. But notice now that you can push out into the strap a lot and then push down into your big toes a lot in order to lift the hips higher. And so we're pushing out into the strap and pushing down into our big toes to keep the thigh bones in a neutral position. And then very gently release the hands, untuck the shoulders, and bring the pelvis to the floor and pause. Push out into the strap to come down. Push out into the strap to come down. Push out into the strap to come down. Nice. And then you'll just stay here for a moment. So pushing out into the strap and pushing down into your big toes to notice what that does to the sacrum and the low back. So quite a few of you mentioned that you're having low back stuff. See how this feels for you. And then we'll go ahead and take that shape one more time. So push out into the strap, then push down into the big toes and lift the hips high. Once the hips are high, walk the shoulder blades underneath you. And then this time, once we're up, wrap the shoulder blades underneath you a little bit more. So it feels like you're pushing onto the top back of your arm into the floor. Draw your sternum closer to your chin. And then draw your chin away from the sternum in order to push into the back of your head. Now again, push out into your strap, push down into the big toes, and see if you can lift your hips a smidge higher. We've got 2 more breath cycles here, keeping the back body active and engaged. And then very mindfully, you'll release your hands, you'll untuck your shoulders and push out into the strap to lower the pelvis all the way to the floor. Pause when you get down and just push out into the strap just a bit more, pressing down into the big toes. Now take a moment to check in with your body. Some of you might just slide a block underneath your sacrum to lift your hips to a supported bridge shape. And then you might lift your legs up towards to the sky. If you're feeling a little bit more adventurous, you might try that modified shoulder stand where you're supporting the weight of your pelvis with your hands. And if you take that second option, you might remove the block or remove the strap rather. But wherever you're going to be, you'll be here for about 2 to 3 minutes. So you choose the option that's best for you. And those of you that are in that supported shoulder stand with your hands underneath you, keep wrapping the shoulder blades underneath you. Push the hands into the hips, lift up through your inner thighs and spread wide through your feet. Those in the supported shoulder stand with the block underneath your pelvis, you can lightly push out into the strap. Send your inner thighs up to your big toe mounts and the inner arches of the feet up towards the sky and pull the toes down towards your face. And then those that are in the active pose, whenever you're ready to come out, your toes will go over your head. You'll release your hands to grab the outer edges of your mat, and you'll slowly roll the spine down as you pull on the mat. Those with the block underneath your pelvis, you'll gently bend your knees and plant your feet firmly on the floor. And then pause before you go anywhere. Push into the backs of the feet, engage the backs of the legs to lift the hips up and away from your block. Remove your block and push out into the strap to bring your pelvis back down. And then you'll just pause and you'll breathe. Take a moment now in this moment to check in and see what your body's needing. For some of you, going straight into Supta Baddha Konasana might feel really nice. For others of you, a gentle happy baby might feel great, or some gentle twists, but you're allowing yourself to pause for just a moment in order to notice what's already present. One of the things I find fascinating about such dreams, where I'm always on the verge of discovering something, is that it shows that there's a part of me that doesn't fully trust that what's going on right now is perfect. Even if things are messy or complicated, or in the sense of dreams, really totally confusing, but there's something perfect even in that. And so as you're with yourself for these last few moments, I invite you to notice what things are really awesome about your body, about this moment as it is. Some of you know this, but I watch a lot of Big Mouth, and season 4 was really amazing if you have time to binge watch a TV show. But in any case, they had 2 characters on this season show. One of them was Tito, the mosquito that causes anxiety, and the other one was Gratitoad. And Gratitoad obviously is a toad, but he seems to be the anecdote to Tito, the mosquito, running our lives. And so we're just taking these last few moments to just allow ourselves to settle in, to appreciate the fullness that this moment offers us in whatever shape or form. And then when you feel settled or complete, you'll make your way into your final resting shape. And I do encourage the use of blankets and such to cover the body to keep the body warm. So if that feels nurturing to you, by all means, go ahead and wrap up. And as you settle into this final shape, notice if there are any small adjustments you can make so that the right half and the left half of the body feel really equally supported by the floor and the props beneath you, and they equally feel like they can soften and release to whatever degree they are capable. And then bring your awareness to your belly button and just allow your awareness to rest on the navel center as you watch the breath rise and you watch the breath fall. And you'll spend a few moments here, and I will let you know when it's time to come out. Begin to return your awareness to your breath. And just take a moment to check in. As you check in, notice if there's any part of you longing to linger in this shape for a few more moments or a few more breaths. And if so, by all means, stay here. Otherwise, start to invite small movement back into your physical form in whatever way feels most nurturing to you. Those in movement, begin to make your way to your right side. And then from here, you'll start to make your way to a tall, comfortable seat. When you're vertical, take the opportunity to sit tall and well, maybe elevating pelvis on block or blanket. And then again, we'll notice that the shoulder blades can come down the back in order to lift the heart up, keeping that front and center and leading us into all things. And then you'll just take 3 to 5 breaths here, noticing whatever you happen to notice. Finding gratitude for that experience, your experience. And then let's draw our hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other. Receive the weight of your thumbs into your sternum and lift the sternum towards the thumb. Gently allow the chin to bow towards the chest, and we'll pause. Draw your thumbs to your third eye. May our thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. And then draw your hands to your heart center. May our hearts be open. The light within me honors and salutes the light within you. Namaste.